Hello, 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 and welcome to a quick overview of Victoria 3 Dev Diary number 150, Changelog. We're finally here, the last Dev Diary before the release of Update 1.9 and the DLC Charters of Commerce on June 17th. In this Dev Diary, they outline all of the changes coming, and I have to say, after a couple months of making these TLDR Dev Diaries, I kind of forgot just how much is changing, because let me tell you, this Dev Diary is long. This video is going to cover more of the highlights of what they write about. I'll be bouncing around the Dev Diary a bit. What we'll do is first, we'll look at what's coming in the free 1.9 update. Then we'll look at what's part of the paid DLC Charters of Commerce. This will include some of the new information they gave us, specifically the new achievements coming. And anyone who's watched my live stream knows I love me some achievements. After that, I'll go through the highlights of the various sections, which include improvements, AI, balance, art, audio, content, interface, and performance. There are two more sections I won't be covering. The first is modding. I've mentioned before, I've never created a mod and don't know much about it, so I don't think I can really say what's exciting here. The last section are a list of bug fixes. So, if you're a busy gamer on the go and don't have time to read the Dev Diary, here is a quick TLDR rundown of what was discussed. As always, there will be a link to the full Dev Diary in the description, and I highly recommend you give it a read. Let's dive in. First, we're going to go over what will be included in the free 1.9 update. The first and probably the biggest addition will be the world market. There will no longer be trade routes in the game. Trade will now be structured in the same way as construction. There is government trade and private trade. Private trade will now be handled through trade centers that interact with the world market. Think of the world market as a market that functions on top of your national market. Construction sectors can build trade centers, so the private sector can build them, and they will be autonomous in that they will import and export goods based on world market prices and the needs of your national market. The goods imported to a trade center will count as local goods in the state of the trade center. There will be a new mechanic called Trade Advantage that will regulate the competition between trade centers around the world. Government trade is now handled through the next part of the free update, new diplomatic treaty system. The diplomatic system is now entirely different. You can now have a live negotiation with another country to create a treaty. The things you add to the treaty are called articles. One article you can add to a treaty is the transfer of goods and money. This will be the way government trade is handled. You will be able to add other articles for things like alliances and trade privileges. Since you can now add the transfer of money as an article to a treaty, war reparations has been removed as a war goal. Instead, it will now be part of the treaty you create. Many of the diplomatic actions in the current version will now be part of the treaty system. Improved front lines. Instead of creating multiple fronts when they don't connect, if two fronts are close to each other, they will be formed as one front. This will cut down significantly on the amount of fronts created. Because of this, armies will no longer teleport or randomly pick up and move to the end of a front for no reason. Now armies will stay in their current position, even if the front changes. There is now a military access system. During war, you can create an agreement with a neutral country to march through their land towards the border of your enemy. This will function just like a naval invasion does, but on land. If the land invasion is successful, it creates a front where you can send more armies. Low supply no longer affects unit morale. If you cut an army off from their supply chain, instead of their morale being affected, now it affects their organization, which comes with much steeper penalties. They added the ability to do bulk editing to formations. You can change mobilization options or general orders in bulk now. They added 6 new historical companies to the free update. They added a new blockade system. Now you can order your admirals to cut off a port's access to the world market. This will also affect the port hub's shipping lane efficiency and the throughput of the buildings in the hub. You can create a custom RNG seed for your save. And finally, they added 5 new achievements. It's a blockade. Fully blockade a world market hub that is connected to at least 100 trade centers. Swiss bank account. As Switzerland, make more than 10% of your GDP from money transfer through treaties. All quiet on the Western Front. Have over 1 million casualties on a single front. Wall of text. Have 10 or more articles in a single treaty. And lastly, Venice Vidi Vici. As Venice, have the most trade centers in the world. The biggest element of the DLC is probably company charters, since it's exclusive to the DLC. Company charters lets you give certain abilities to a company. For instance, you can give a company the colonization charter, and they can then start colonizing a region. This will allow the company to become a country themselves. The investment charter allows your company to set up a regional HQ and start trading in that region. Think of it like a company's North American branch or their Asian branch. It doesn't sound like regional HQs will be continent-based like that, but you get the idea. You can give a company an industry charter, which allows them to start building buildings of a different industry type. Say you're a tooling company. You can give them an industry charter, and now they can start building logging camps too. Lastly, there's a trade charter that allows companies to build, buy, and run trade centers. Another element exclusive to the DLC is monopolies. This is both private and public. With private monopolies, you can give a company a charter that gives them exclusive rights to build a certain building type. You can also give your country a monopoly, or other countries a monopoly, through a diplomatic agreement. This means only the government can build buildings of a certain type. Which leads into another element of the DLC, diplomatic treaties that are specific to charters of commerce. The Monopoly Treaty article is one. The other is a non-colonization article, disallowing you or another country from colonizing in a certain region. Other treaty articles exclusive to the DLC are no tariffs on goods, no subventions on goods, prohibit trade of good on the world market, and law commitment, where you force somebody to enact a certain law. The DLC introduces prestige goods. These are higher quality variants of generic goods, which can provide various benefits. One benefit is if a building uses a prestige good instead of a generic good as an input, it gives a throughput bonus to the building. Prestige goods also provide trade advantage, meaning Pops will want to consume that good over its affiliated generic good. The example they give is the prestige good champagne over wine. You will get 15 new historical companies exclusive to the DLC, foreign investment packs. This is a mechanic that was exclusive to the Pivot of Empire DLC. Since this mechanic is so important to this one, you now get the mechanic as part of Charters of Commerce, even if you don't have Pivot of Empire. But seriously, if you don't have Pivot of Empire, go get Pivot of Empire. A new power block principle group focused on companies. A big one, there's a new character type called an executive. They will be characters who are the head of a company, but can also become leaders of interest groups and countries as well. There will be 26 real-life historical executives, and then generic ones created by the game. And of course, DLC exclusive achievements. Probably the creepiest achievement in the game, yes, we have bananas. Produce prestige good Gros Michael banana from United Fruit Company and get 25% share of total goods on the world market. Fordlandia. Have an automotive company establish a country via a colony and have a top 10 GDP. Champagne Socialist. As a council republic, produce more than 100 units of champagne. Franchising. Establish a regional HQ and have it own at least 20 levels. And finally, System Bolaget. As Sweden, have a country monopoly on liquor. To finish out, I'm going to highlight some specific improvements and changes they listed. I won't be going over all of them because, again, this video will be an hour long if I did. Instead, I'll highlight what I think are the most important ones. But of course, that's for you to decide. So read the full dev diary by clicking the link in the description to read all of them. Any fans of the automotive industry rework will be happy to hear that that's now part of the game. The War Machines Industries building is now going to be called Automotive Industries. It now produces cars, and will have a production method where you can change it to tanks and airplanes. Companies can now buy building levels from financial districts and manor houses. This one I'm thrilled to see. You can now form a company from any mix of building levels, and you don't need to nationalize the building levels in order to create it. This was especially annoying for things like the Metalworks Syndicate. You need a level 3 building of tools, arms, or artillery to unlock the building, but then you need to have a level 5 of one of them to create it. In many of my runs, having a level 5 of one of those specific buildings was just not practical. Now you will be able to use all 3 building types as long as you can give the company 5 total levels. Made railway buildings care about missing infrastructure rather than market access when determining if it should auto-expand. Scaled infamy costs for expelling diplomats based on the target country. Expelling great and major powers remains at 10 infamy. Minor powers and unrecognized major powers go to 7.5 infamy. Insignificant powers and unrecognized regional powers go to 5 infamy. Other unrecognized powers go to 2.5 infamy. This is a great change, but what's also cool is that it came from a user on the Wiki3 Discord named Shadow Jackal, and they recognize them for it. Gold, rubber, and oil rushes will now happen far less frequently. Their effects rebalanced and now have new options to hide future events and apply the chosen effects automatically. Rubber rushes especially were bountiful. Glad to see this change. Added a tooltip to the Readmit the Secessionist States journal entry to clarify completion conditions. This one was always a mystery. Under the balance section, we see company throughput bonuses have been reduced since it's now easier for companies to get more building levels. Canal companies provide a free company slot as part of their prosperity bonus. Removed the free company slot from laissez-faire economic law. This one kind of hurts, not gonna lie. All development buildings now have a base employment level of 1K per level. This means tax rates have been reduced to balance out having less expenses in government buildings since it needs less workers. Here's a big one, everyone. The end of an era. Say goodbye to the Corn Laws cheese and your market liberal landowner. The event A Modern Conservative has been changed to the Anti-Corn Laws League. It now spawns a petite bourgeoisie market liberal instead of a market liberal landowner. Celebrate, rejoice, and mourn. Your choice.
I mean, it just seems like a waste, right?
Prosperity for companies now goes from 0 to 100. Companies become prosperous at 100 prosperity and don't lose it until they drop below 75. Before this, prosperity went from 0 to 200. Companies became prosperous at 100 and kept their prosperity bonus as long as they stayed above 100. Along with that, prosperity now has a target value that it drifts towards over time, with the drift speed based on how many staffed building levels the company has. Larger companies gain prosperity faster and lose it slower. This is a big one. The construction efficiency penalty in unincorporated states is now 20%. Ouch. Ports no longer have a level cap, and natural harbors now provide ports with a throughput bonus instead of an increase to their level. You also get a MAPI bonus in states with natural harbors. This is going to be big. Low organization in armies have much steeper penalties, going up to negative 75% offense and defense. Under the art section, they added a bonus paper map if you sign up for the newsletter. Interesting. The most important thing, European industrialist characters can now wear top hats. Under content, we get some new characters added to the world: Albert Einstein, Ada Lovelace, and Florence Nightingale. Like I said earlier, there's a lot more mentioned in this dev diary. I went over what I thought are the essential highlights, like getting a top hat for European industrialists, of course, but I'm sure there are things I didn't mention that are very important to you. There's a lot here. This is it until Charters of Commerce comes out on the 17th. I cannot wait. Keep a lookout for future tutorials about the new updates. The first one I plan on doing is a tutorial on the new world market system. If you want more information about some of these changes, again, check out my previous Dev Diary TLDR videos because a lot of this stuff had a deeper dive in those previous videos. That's it for now. See you after the DLC is released, and of course, be awesome.